Please welcome to the stage the man who delivered the Giants' first championship in 30 years and then 4 years later delivered yet another. He's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Coach Bill Parcells. And like Coach Parcells, who went 8-3 in the postseason in his Giants coaching career, our next guest also went 8-3. And like Coach Parcells, delivered Super Bowls 42 and 46 to the New York Giants, Coach Tom Coughlin. What a night it has been, Coach Parcells, Coach Coughlin, to be around your former players here this evening. What does it mean to you to see all these guys that gave so much for you to help this franchise win?
Well, you know, they're the ones that gave the blood, and, you know, they represent a very special group of young men for me, and did an awful lot for me personally, for the organization, for New York Giants football, and they deserve that appreciation, and I've always tried to give it back to them.
Coach Coughlin, what about for you and to see all those guys back there?
Well, it's, you know, you get used to seeing them every day, okay, and then all of a sudden you don't get to see them at all. So when you do see them, it's wonderful. It's a whole different concept. You know, it's friend to friend, that kind of thing. They maintain that coach to player discipline, I guess you'd call it, but it's still it's very, very moving.
Both of you spent time as assistants with the Giants before becoming a head coach for the franchise. Coach Parcells, I want to talk to you a little bit about building blocks. Your first year was 83. Obviously, it didn't go well, but there was a quarterback and a guy named Lawrence Taylor there. And then in 84, you drafted Carl Banks and William Roberts and Jeff Hostetler and Gary Reasons, Lionel Manuel. In 85, it's Mark Bavaro. It's Stacy Robinson. In 86, it's Mark Collins, Pepper Johnson, Eric Dorsey, and Eric Howard. Talk about bringing all that team together. In 84, you win a playoff game. And then in 85, you lose to the Bears, but it's building. What was it like? How did you bring it all together?
Well, 84 was a confidence builder for us. We were able to win a playoff game against a team that had beaten us in the regular season. And 85, we were better, still finding our way a little bit. But when that season was over, I think the players felt a greater sense of confidence, one, and determination to commit to do the things to try to get us to the championship. And the next year we're able to do that. And it was a process, is what the word they use nowadays.
Right, process. And the draft picks, you know, being able to bring those young players along and have them immerse in your program with veteran guys. And George Young, you know, hit home runs throughout the 80s.
Well, that's possible when you have good veteran guys. When the veteran guys are going to accept the new ones to come in like they were accepted when they came in, and that's how I used to phrase it to them, you know, accept them like you were accepted. And they did a lot to help the development of the players and let them know, hey, this is the way things are here. This is the way we do things, and these are some of the things we don't do. And you know, if you're winning, that all kind of meshes together, and it makes it a lot easier.
Coach Coughlin, obviously your first year was 04. The Giants get Eli Manning, so now you got your cornerstone. And then it was, you know, Ernie Accorsi's drafting, and then in 2007, Jerry Reese is drafting that rookie class, but now you start adding players like Chris Snee and Jabril Wilson, Corey Webster, Justin Tuck, Brandon Jacobs, Matthias Kiwanuka, Barry Cofield, Aaron Ross, Steve Smith. All these players start coming into the mix. How did you bring it all together?
Well, Bradshaw and Steve Smith weren't bad with that group
Right,
either.
yeah.
Well, it's how'd they all come together? When I walked in the locker room, to be honest with you, we had to change the I to we. That was the biggest battle. And once that started to take place, once we started to think about team rather than self, once we forgot about, the individual stuff and thought about winning as a team, then I think, we started to make progress. In 05, we won 11 games, but got knocked out of the playoffs right away. In 06, we had our problems. We went 8-8, still got in the playoffs, but got knocked out in the first game. So then, things happened, for me and for the team. I became a better communicator, if you will. And, we started off the 0-2, and then things came together.
Then you both do it 4 years later with a different cast and adding some free agents. Once you had that culture established, was it a little bit easier? It's never easy to win. I'm not insinuating that, but now you've established your culture, and now the people you bring in are all the right people?
Well, the culture is something that helps the entire organization. If everybody's on the same page, everybody knows this is how things are, this is the way we run our business, this is how we're going to practice, these are the kind of players we're going to draft. The personnel department supports the coaching staff, the administration supports both of us. That's the whole thing.
Same for you, Coach Coughlin, like that messaging. As you embarked upon that second championship run, you did have your core as you brought in the Antrell roles and some of the newer players, and the Manninghams and the Knicks come along, but you had the base established at that point, didn't you?
Well, we had a base established, but every year is a start. You start from scratch again, and we had our lumps along the way. In Super Bowl 46, the trying to arrive at that one, what we went through in that game, in that situation, in that year. But yeah, you've got some leaders in place, and they're the guys that are going to help you in the locker room. They're going to control those young people, and fortunately, we had some very good leaders.
All right, you both work for Mr. Mara, Wellington Mara. What was he like as a support system for you, Bill?
It was the best. He was one of the patriarchs of this league. He was among the group of men that had the vision for this whole enterprise of the NFL. And he was there through everything that ever transpired in the league. He was part of it, and I'm certain his voice was heard much of the time. And he was quiet, he was at practice, he was interested, and he was supportive, and he was always ready for next Sunday. And
Coach Coughlin, you worked for both Mr. Mara and Mr. Tisch, and you had to navigate this football team through really an unparalleled situation. Mr. Mara passes away in the 2005 season, and then Mr. Tisch passes away just a couple of weeks later. What was the messaging to your team, and how did you keep it all together? Because that team wound up going to the postseason that year as well.
Well, there was tremendous emotion. I mean, there was grief, there was sorrow. Mr. Mara and Mr. Tisch were both very close to the players. And the way that all came down, for example, with Mr. Mara, we played Denver, if you remember that. And that was a game that we wanted Mr. Mara to see us win. And we beat Denver, a very good Denver team. You see Imani on the back line with Eli hitting him on the end line for the score. And then So that was the last game that Mr. Mara saw, and he passed away 2 days later. So the following weekend was the Washington game, and the team was so determined that the rest of the nation would see how we felt about Mr. Mara, and it was, quite frankly, it was a tremendous game for the Giants, for the Giant fans. You know, it was a 36-0 game, 21 points, I think, in the first quarter. I think Washington had 145 yards total offense. We rushed it for over 250, I believe. It was Mr. Mara's kind of game.
So, 1990, Super Bowl 25. You're the head coach. He's your wide receivers coach. Now, when you think about it, the Giants are known for defense, right? They're known for running game. But if you think about three of the most iconic pass plays in Super Bowl history, they're plays with the New York Football Giants. So Super Bowl 25, you're playing the Bills. They got that fast offense. And you go on that drive at the end of the first half. Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker, with the catch in the left corner of the end zone. And now you get the ball to start the third quarter. And you're going on this methodical, famous 9-minute and 49-minute drive. But there was a play in this drive in and about the 30-yard line of the Buffalo Bills. If you don't make it, you're kicking a field goal. You go up 1 instead of going up 5 at that point, which turned out to be the difference. Let's take you back to Tampa. Super Bowl 25, 3rd and 13.
12-10 the score. Buffalo, third quarter. Hostetler has the ball and the snap throws. Complete. He's got Ingram for maybe a first down. He'll try to the 20. Yes, he got it. What effort. What effort. He caught that ball at the 25 and got free of 3 separate tackles. I didn't think there was any chance to be able to do it. A nice spin move, a cutback, great athletic play.
All right, as the head coach with Ron Earhart as your offensive coordinator, obviously the design wasn't to throw it downfield. What were you thinking as you watched what Mark Ingram did, and did that kind of signify what your team was all about?
I think, if I was to be totally honest with you, we were trying to get something to get into field goal range to ensure the field goal possibility. And we didn't want to risk turning it over in that area, obviously. So that short, what we call X-shallow cross, I think that was the name, right, Tom?
That was the end of it.
Yeah.
That was it.
And then Mark makes a great individual effort, breaks 4 or 5 tackles or 6, whatever it was, and gets the first down, and that helps us sustain what became a touchdown drive, I think.
Yeah, Otis scored. Yeah. Okay, you used another 4 minutes of clock, and the Buffalo Bills went almost a full quarter of game time from the end of the first half to the start of the second half without touching the ball. And with the halftime ceremony, it was well over an hour and 15 minutes before their offense ever got back on the field.
Well, in football, if you're going to be successful for any period of time, you have to eventually learn how to get control of the games. And this was a very dynamic offense we were going to play. And if they're on the field, they're going to give you a lot of trouble. So our whole plan was to try to run it, play good defense, and hope we had enough when the game was over.
And Coach,
that also was 41 minutes time of possession.
Right.
It was 41-19 in time of possession. And, of course, that was the whole plan, was to keep the ball away from them. Remember, Buffalo beat us at home in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Did you coach Ingram that move?
Do I what?
Did you show Ingram that move as the wide receiver coach? If you get in trouble?
It took me a long time to teach him the 5 broken tackles, but I was able to do it.
Well, you can't win championships without having a quarterback. That's just a fact in the National Football League. And Coach Parcells, you had a quarterback that was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and he was the MVP of Super Bowl 21. Please welcome Phil Simms.
sir. Yes, sir.
As I mentioned, Coach Parcells as a Giant head coach was 8-3 in the postseason. So was Coach Coughlin. And they both won 2 Super Bowls. So Coach Coughlin wasn't to be outdone. He needed a quarterback as well. And he had the 2-time Super Bowl MVP, Eli Manning. Now, as both coaches talked about, you got to have that veteran leadership. And, you know, you need a captain. And Coach Coughlin certainly had that in his final season, going out as a Super Bowl champion, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Michael Strahan. Speaking of captains and having that veteran presence, Coach Parcells certainly had that as well. He's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the captain, Harry Carson.
Harry.
You got to have something special, though, right? And I know Coach Parcells appreciated having one of the greatest players in the history of the National Football League, Lawrence Taylor. All right, Phil, you're the first one to go to Disneyland. Being here with these two coaches that obviously you were on the team when Coach Coughlin was the receivers coach in 90, starting in 88. But to be a part of this night and this Giants history and to be a 2-time Super Bowl champion, what's it been like for you this evening?
Well, first off, to the fans out there, I'm just honored all of you showed up to celebrate this with all the players and coaches. And it's, you know, I think we all dream about what we want to do in life. I never thought my life and all my dreams ever were going to be this good. And so it's been great to play all my years with the Giants, with the fans. Bill Parcells said to me once, he said a lot of things. Usually the first word was to begin with an F, but we won't get into that. I had to go home and check my birth certificate, see my first name begin with a P or an F. F and Sims. But Bill said to me once, during a tough time, he goes, Sims, listen, don't worry. When you retire, the fans will like you. You said that, but it is true. Fans don't remember all my interceptions and fumbles and losses. But I'll just say this too, and I really mean this deep in my heart. I say it all the time. These two people right here changed the lives of so many men. It's unbelievable. Yes, listen, Bill Parcells changed my life. He changed my family's life. And what he, listen, and I don't mean to say listen, to say it was hard is a great understatement, right, Harry? It was beyond hard. Hell, I woke up every morning, my heart was, here we go. Here's another day, you know, and it was, but that's what it takes. And he'd always say, and Tom, I know you say it too, football is, what makes it so great is that it is so damn hard. And it is, but they made it where we had great success, and I can't say enough great things about them.
Eli, for you, Eli, for you, being here celebrating 100 years of the New York Giants is kind of odd in a sense, right? Because it was in this room during the 2004 draft, right here in this theater where the NFL draft used to be. Your name was called by the San Diego Chargers.
You don't have to mention that. We can skip that part.
I forgot that.
But as you get the news that you're going to the Giants, and Ernie Accorsi negotiates this trade, and the smile on your face, knowing that you were going to the Giants, and then to win 2 Super Bowls for this franchise, sum up what this evening is like for you.
Well, it's just an unbelievable honor to be sitting on this stage. Legendary coaches, legendary players, guys who I grew up watching, Phil Simms and Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor. I mean, I still remember playing Nintendo Tecmo Bowl and being the New York Giants, and LT was unblockable, and he blocked every field goal, so it was a great strategy going against my brothers. I could maybe beat him for once, and to get to play with Michael Strahan and help him win a Super Bowl. So coming to New York was a dream come true, and you know, I knew at the time, talking to my dad, he would tell me about the New York Giants, and he grew up watching the Giants and Charlie Connerly and their great teams, and just what a great franchise they were. And it's been a blessing to play 16 years, my entire career in New York, to still be a part of the organization, to be a part of this storied franchise that's not only been such a great part about New York, but it's been so important to the NFL and Wellington Mara and what he did for this league and the game. It's been unbelievable to learn the history, to be a part of it, and to be on stage tonight. It's just icing on the cake.
Michael, you're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You were actually drafted in 1993 when Lawrence was still playing. That was your rookie season. So you got to touch, and then you go on to win an NFC championship game, and in your last year, win a Super Bowl. You broke his sack record as well, which he laughs at that.
We've had discussions about, they'll bring that up.
Well, you got to remember, Lawrence's rookie year, sacks were not counted. So you got.
Oh, I've heard that part. And a lot more.
Michael used to tell me how he used to have to pick up Lawrence's his clothes from the cleaner on Friday afternoons for Lawrence.
Well,
Hey, you gotta understand.
it was
You gotta
different.
understand, I was suspended a whole lot of games.
See, I wasn't going to say that. And what did I tell you when you said, well, I was suspended? I said, I didn't tell you to get suspended. It wasn't my fault. Nothing to do with me. But I will say this. It's absolutely amazing to be here. I mean, I remember wearing a uniform that said the 75th year for the Giants. Now to be here for the 100th. It's special, and it's special to be here with all you fans to celebrate it because and I know I speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure for everyone up here, you can do a lot of incredible things in life, and I've done a lot of incredible things. Hell, I went to space. But there is nothing like running out of that tunnel with the fans when you come out of that opening and you just see 80,000 Giants fans, nothing like it. And Eli said it. He did 16 years. You did 12 years. I did 15. I did 15. You did 12. And you did how many? 13. 12, 13, 15, 16, 16. Or 15. All with one team. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So I'm just glad that Eli didn't say that he used to watch me playing growing up and that I was in Tecmo Bowl even though I was. But, yeah, I'm just honored to be here and be on stage. Because I marveled at the first time I walked into that locker room and Phil Simms said, hey, Michael. And I was like, oh, Phil Simms knows my name. Oh, God. And then, you know, Harry's always been a good friend. He wasn't there, but he always, and still to this day, I'm so close to the guys who were before me because once a Giant, always a Giant. And I'll never forget the first time Lawrence came into the locker room, and I didn't say you walked in, it's like he was on a conveyor belt. You were God to me. It's like you glided in, like you weren't even moving your legs and you were going across the room. And I'll just never forget those moments that have made my life what they are, because without this organization, without you fans, I'm not here. None of us are here, and I'm so eternally grateful that I'm back here for the 100th anniversary of the New York Giants.
Harry, you were drafted in the mid 70s. Obviously, there were some lean years, but part of the foundation that led to that first playoff appearance in 1981, after having not been in the playoffs since '63, going down to Philly and beating the Eagles, which, you know, I was like saying to my parents, "Wow, the Giants won a playoff game? This happened." But guiding these guys along, being part of that cornerstone, and then to end it, you know, in the later part of your career to win that championship and go to the Hall of Fame. Just talk a little bit about your journey and to be now part of the great history of the Giants.
Well, when I was drafted to play with the Giants, I didn't know a whole lot about the Giants, but I did know that there was a rich history behind the New York Football Giants and those players who had played with the Giants. You know, those names, you hear those names and you remember, like Robustelli, you know, guys like that, Andy Robustelli. Wow. And I thought to myself, I don't know how long I'm going to play, but I do know that if I do play, I want to be mentioned in the same breath as those great players who preceded me. And that was what I was shooting for, to just play Giant football. And I had people who supported me along the way. Rosie Brown was one of those guys who would pull me aside after practice and give me some hints as to what I should be doing. What most people don't know is I never played middle linebacker until I came to the Giants. Marty Schottenheimer, who at the time was my coach, he drafted me and they needed an inside run defender and he thought that I would fill that bill. And so making that transition from a down defensive lineman to linebacker is one of the greatest accomplishments I've ever made, because to come to New York to play a position that you've never played before and master that position even in your rookie year, that was a lot. And that was one of those things that but when I played during my rookie year, I got better and better. I played a 4-3 defense with Marty Schottenheimer, and then you know, the coaching staff was fired after the fumble. And you know, changes were made. And eventually Bill Parcells became our defensive coach, and we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4. And then I had to play an altogether different position as that inside linebacker. So it was a challenge. There were times when I didn't necessarily get along with management and George Young, wanting a new contract year in and year out, but he wouldn't trade me, and you know, he wouldn't cut me. So I wound up staying, and that was really the best thing to happen, to stay in that position, but also to witness everything that I witnessed as a ball player with the Giants. And what I figured out with the Giants was, you don't necessarily have to be the best player on the field, but Giant fans demand that you give your best. If you go out there and you get your ass kicked, they see it and they appreciate it, as long as you are giving an effort and being competitive. Yep. But if you walk out there and you stink up the place, you know, I've been around where things came out of the stands, like lemons, oranges, toilet paper, and all of that stuff.
All right, so, but I want to get Lawrence in here now, because Lawrence, a whole different idea, right? You come, what's going through your brain when you come here and you get drafted by the Giants and you're going to play for the New York Giants out of North Carolina?
When I got drafted by the Giants, I really knew nothing about the Giants. you know. And then all of a sudden they draft me. I come up and I go to Newark Airport, and there's a dump from the daggone airport all the way to the. I'm like, I mean, what kind of hole is this? You know? No. I consider, and when I signed with the Giants, I consider myself a good player. All right, and I remember doing the practices and things like that. Hey, Bill Parcells, he came to me and he says, you know what? He wanted a meeting. He wanted a meeting with Harry Carson. He wanted to meet with Phil Simms. He wanted to meet with all the big names on the team. And he asked me to come to the meeting. I said, what the hell I'm coming to a meeting? I'm a rookie. He said, yeah, because you showing another side of football. Because he said that, I tried to show another side of football that, hey, listen, I'm going to hustle, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I try to make a difference. If you want to thank somebody, you thank God for the talent he gave him, but you thank Bill Parcells for the direction. And then I had a crew, Brad Van Pelt, Brian Kelly, and Harry Carson, the Crunch Bunch, and listen, we started crunching. Okay, so I'll tell you, I attribute everything to God gave me the talent. I can play football. I'm not stupid. I know what A. No, I don't. But anyway. No, but it's all about the guys that played before me. I'm tell you what, and the guys that would help me doing because Brian Kelly. I'm tell you something. My first year, I ain't know where I was going. BK was like, you got to go left, LT. You got to go right. He said, and then he said, hey, sometimes you need to read the playbook, okay? But actually, I tell you, I really appreciate everybody. But I'm gonna tell you, if you want to give somebody the credit for me, that man right there. That man right there.